Hello, my friends. I come today to share something that was just revealed to me in a way that I've understood it. And I've understood that as I seek things before on my own, I could understand a lot of things, but not everything. It's only whenever you ask God to show you something and you seek his answer, not an immediate answer that may come to you, but you truly seek his answer, that he finds a way to present that answer to you. And what he does is simplify his own word. He's not showing me anything new, he's not showing me anything different. He's simplifying what I've already studied for 6 years so that I can actually see it. Remember that the kingdom of heaven is made for children such as these. It's a place that as man, as we walk in the flesh, we can't even comprehend what it's going to be, or what it's going to look like, or how it's going to be. We have our ways that we can compare things to it. Thus is why Jesus always used parables to compare everything. You can't really say what it is. You don't really know. You can only describe it in a way. Everybody looks, and whenever I say everybody, I speak of the many churches these days, which all speak of this event to come. They call it a rapture. They they've been calling it that for many years. It just that teaching went away for a little while, and then it came back. And then there's people today that'll say, well, that's not happening, or that's not happening till the end, or that's going to happen in the middle of the tribulations, or it's going to come before it. And you have all these different arguments. It reminds me of the disciples all sitting around a table, and they're all, well, who's the greatest disciple? Who is the best? And to Jesus, it's something that's a silly argument, but to man, it's what we do. We like to compare ourselves and see where we rank in things. And truly I say, until you become the lowliest, like that of a little child, you won't understand anything of the kingdom of heaven. It's not about being the greatest, it's about being the least. And that's something that our generation deeply, deeply gets wrong with where it seeks God. In Matthew 24, I've spoken of it many times. I've read it 1,000 times, and I've never understood it until just now. Whenever Jesus is talking about his return, and specifically you see Matthew verse 30, Matthew 24 verse 30, and then at the sign that the Son of Man is coming will appear in the heavens, and there will be deep mourning among all peoples of the earth. And then at last the sign that the Son of Man is coming will appear in the heavens. He's speaking of a sign that we've been waiting for a very long time, that he's been waiting for a very long time, at last. And you can go back to the parable of the wineskins that he spoke to understand this. The parable of the wineskins were all about compromise. How this world that you live in is a compromise of what the world he actually built was. Everything in this world is a compromise. Whenever you have a compromise, there's a middle ground of something, and at first that compromise will lead to good things or better things. So you think. As you go along, more compromises come from that compromise, and then suddenly what was a compromise that you resulted in something that you could live with has become intolerable. It's something that tastes sweet when you eat it, but you let it sit for a little while, and suddenly it makes your stomach sour. A compromise is what we live in this world. It's a compromise between God and man because of our choices, our sin. He compromised with us rather than destroy us or rebuild everything or change his plans. He compromised with man. You know who Jesus Christ was? A compromise with man. Saying that you won't worship me any other way. I'll give you what you want. I'll give you a man just like you are. I'll give you a compromise. And he's extending an olive branch with a compromise. But in the end, we still see even that isn't good enough for what God had planned from the beginning, and God said with his own words that nothing will interfere with his plan. That means that everything that he has done to compromise in an instant will turn back into something that's not a compromise. And this is what we're looking for. Now, whenever we're speaking of this particular parable, the wineskin, it leads right into Matthew 24 whenever you're talking about a period of time that's going to pass where there's going to be a compromise, and then the earth is going to play out, and then the end is going to come. And Matthew 24 speaks about that end and what it looks like. Whenever he goes on to speak in verse 37, when the Son of Man returns, it will be like it was in Noah's day. What happened in Noah's day? There was a flood. It reset the world. In those days before the flood, the people were enjoying banquets and parties and weddings right up until the time Noah entered his boat. He's saying the world is the same, and then suddenly it's not. It's cut off. It's a sudden cut off. There's nothing between what's happening in the world and the cut off other than Noah going into the boat. Here's the key part that I've never seen before until now. People didn't realize what was going to happen until the flood came and swept them all away. It's something I've spoke on numerous times. I think about it every single day. People don't understand what's happening. People don't know what's happening out there. They don't know what is coming. That is proof that you're living in those days that Jesus is speaking about, because you're in the days of not knowing. This is the catalyst, and what brought the flood? Noah entering onto the ark. So you have Jesus saying that in those last days people will be unaware of what is coming. Well, the church has an idea of what's coming. We've all had some kind of idea of what's coming. And in fact, all men know something is coming. Every news article you read today, every story, it's filled with dread. And why is it filled with dread? Because everybody knows something's coming. Since 1 John verse 9, since the light of the world came into it, everyone in their heart has known something was going to come. This time that Jesus speaks of, he's speaking about a time of uncertainty. No one knows what they're doing. The parable that I've used many of times about the fish or the frog going into the pot of water, slowly turn into a boil until it boils and dies. It won't jump out. I've spoke about this many, many times. This is that time that Jesus spoke of in Matthew 24. People unaware that something is going to come, always believing tomorrow's going to come. Yeah, something's bad's going to happen, but it's not going to be that bad. We're going to be okay. And this is Jesus saying no. In the times where people are unaware of the flood that's coming, that's when, like Noah entered into the ark, so will my people enter into the ark. And then the flood came. This means that before the end comes, everybody will be doing exactly as they are today. Yeah, there's going to be wars and rumors of war and everything else. Everything Jesus mentioned before it. And all of these things are happening in the world. Earthquakes in diverse places. All of these things are happening. Yet people are still going on. The economy is being destroyed in America. People are still buying food. People are still going to stores. Things are still going on. People are still throwing lavish parties. Look at this Met Gala party we just saw. All of the same things that have been happening are still happening. Even though there is a deep light within all men that are warning them of something to come, they willfully do not listen to it and accept it. So they keep doing everything the same that they did yesterday until tomorrow comes. It's a period of time of unawareness, which is the exact period of time that we live in. And Noah entered onto the ark just like the rapture that you've heard many of times spoke about. That's Jesus removing us from the earth and placing them into the ark, his ark. the ark of his covenant, and that covenant is in Jesus Christ. No others. And then Jesus goes on to tell you where the rapture is. Verse 40. 2 men will be working together in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding flour, the male one will be taken and the other left. This is exactly what the church has been saying for many years. It's been shown in movies even, where there's a sudden event where people are taken, disappear, gone, while those others remain here. So you can talk about how Paul was given revelation of the rapture, and he understood what it was going to be like. He said it's going to be like in a twinkling of an eye, you're going to be changed. But Jesus spoke first about how and when it will actually happen, and what the world will look like when that actually happens. Or else, if he didn't warn the disciples of this, he wouldn't have been a good teacher, would he have? Because clearly he's telling them about the end of the age. How's he going to leave out something this important, the end of all things, and the fire of flood coming over the earth? Of course he spoke of it, and right here very specifically he spoke of it. One will be taken, the other left. And then he says, so you too must keep watch, for you don't know when he's coming. He's saying this to us. Stand firm, steadfast in our belief and our understanding, because the whole world is blind to what's coming. But we're not. We're awake. We're keeping watch. We understand that something's coming. We know who it's coming by, and we know where we want to go when that comes. We are keeping watch. But this is a warning to those who don't watch. Those who still, like everybody else, believe tomorrow's going to come just like it did the day before. Because there will come a day where that will no longer be the case. And that will be the end of the age. A faithful, sensible servant is one to whom the master can give responsibility of managing his other household servants and feeding them. This is what I offer you to eat, food, that you're living in those days. The food is my word, which isn't mine, it's Jesus's. He described the exact world you're living in 2,000 years ago. And if he said one thing and it happened, so will the other. Which means as Noah entered onto the ark, we will enter onto the ark, and then the flood will come. And you're living in those days of people being unaware of truly what is coming upon this world, and not because they don't know it, but because they don't want to know it. God bless.